An alien spaceship lands on our planet and the doors open. What do you expect to see? 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes? A bag of slime? A swarm? Could alien life have emerged in outer space rather than on a planet? And if we simulate bacteria in a computer, are they alive? The answer to all these questions hinges on understanding just what life is and how it comes about. Evolution seems a complicated and pretty random process, but in a recent paper, a group of scientists surprisingly says that if we could go back 4 billion years and start life on Earth all over again, the result might not be all that different to what it's today. Indeed, life all over the universe must follow similar rules. In their own words, computational, physical, and dynamical constraints profoundly limit the design space of possible living systems. One of the consequences, they say, is that we'll never get rid of parasites like viruses, because parasites are an inevitable consequence of social media. Evolution. They arrive at this rather startling conclusion by looking at what property a system needs to increase complexity. This circumvents the problem of having to start with a definition for life. The most obvious example is that if you want any sort of evolution and natural selection, you need a system that can store information and reproduce it with small modifications. Life on Earth currently does this in the form of DNA, and while that is a very specific molecule, the researchers say that long chains of molecules are the easiest and therefore most likely way for a system to store information. The second ingredient that life needs, they say, is what was already pointed out by Erwin Schrödinger, yes, the one with the cat, about 100 years ago. It's that a living system must avoid entropy increase. If entropy increases, that'll eventually merge the system with its environment in a state of maximum disorder. As they write in the paper, each entropy-reducing reaction must be locally coupled to a free energy source, and continuing to do that requires reaction cycles. That's a sort of metabolic system. Next, they say that the metabolic system can work more efficiently if the system shields itself from the environment. That is, it'll develop a physical system boundary. Now take these 3 together and you have the basic properties of a cell. But that isn't it, because there's an easy way for these basic cells to reach higher complexity. It's to combine several cells and differentiate their tasks. The authors say that multicellular organisms are the most likely path to higher complexity because these groups of cells are particularly stable and their individual cells have proved to be robust already. They say that this gradual build-up works all the way to cognitive function, because as the system grows, it can find ways to gather energy and reproduce that are not possible for simpler organisms. That, however, doesn't make the simpler organisms go away, and indeed some of them will try to benefit from the larger ones. This is why they say complex life always has parasites. It's an inevitable byproduct of evolution. In summary, they say that it's highly likely that all life in the universe is made of differentiated cells, has metabolic cycles, stores information in long chains of molecules, and sits on the couch while watching YouTube. Just checking if you're listening. Basically, they say that a bag of slime isn't differentiated enough and a swarm isn't stable enough under environmental perturbations to reach higher complexity. But it's also interesting what this does not imply. It doesn't imply, for example, that life must have started on a planet. Indeed, some have argued that life could exist in gas clouds in interstellar space in the form of simple bacteria. This could work because it's so cold in these clouds that hydrogen is liquid. This means the hydrogen could be contained by cell membranes, and the microbes could use it to transport molecules such as carbon monoxide from the gas clouds through the membranes. Another thing that the new study doesn't imply is the particular shape of the cell masses.
Negative triangularity.
So maybe alien life is made of cells like us, but it's got 7 legs instead, or breathes fire, or buys Twitter. That said, I'm highly skeptical that the argument that life must be of this form is correct. This is because it assumes that life emerged by natural evolution. But if you have sufficiently complex life, like humans, these can do their own artificial evolution. For example, AI researchers are currently currently trying to create a virtual cell. This has practical uses for testing drugs, but also raises the question of whether the virtual cell is alive. And if yes, what is to stop us from creating living beings in artificial physical environments that don't exist in the real world? Then again, maybe this isn't the real world either. Hello? Elon, I told you not to call me at work. Well, you could just have told them you want to go back to your home planet rather than taking over this one. I don't listen to what they say on X. It's all nonsense. Elon? You know how you sometimes need a little nudge to learn something new or try something new to improve your life? There's an app called Imprint that works very well for me. Imprint has a lot of content on personal development, science and technology, so it's exactly what I'm interested in. Like, for example, this course on how to manage stress, especially from social media. I've learned from this about the idea of digital minimalism, which means it's no good to drop social media entirely, you just need to make it work for you. The course has given me some helpful advice for doing that, which finally encouraged me to clean.
摩天楼君の確かな目を摘んできた叶えたいものすべて奪い去らっては僕をねじ曲げてくカチカチが嫌いなあいつはコケなんてらいやって上品な言葉乗せ合って待たせたがいたせっせ調子をってせっせよく回転エゴに落ちていく舌が乾くまで話そうぜ矛盾を抱いている今更もうスピードでスタート切ったってどうやったってお付けしないぜメイデイ強がりに嫌気がさしている弱音も吐けないままでいる弱音も吐けないままでいる損得のものを刺してポイって捨てられよそ行きの顔してまたやり過ごす存在もないようなもんだ誰も分かっちゃいないや感情論に使ってなんてばかれば落ちるだけど夢に目覚めた君は何を見るのことでしか意味切られることでしか焦りだけでは満たされないありのままなど見せたくはないねヘラヘラと今日も笑っている弱音も吐けないままでいる弱音も吐けないままでいる詭弁 に振る舞う自己暗示さえ真実にこだわる必要もない裏切ってしまいそうな今日がかける言葉もないな金輪際も一緒なったばかれば落ちるだけど答えなど待っても君に愛をしないと愛が浮き起こって感情のなる方へコンタクトさえも防げないのなら混ざって混ざって生まれ変わるまで終わらない夢作ろうった続かないことに苛立った他人を見下し笑ったんだそうしないと僕の心は壊れてしまうから本当はもう分かってるんだ期待されない人生だ根拠もないあの日のようなまっすぐな瞳はだけど夢に目覚めた君は何を見えるの最低な日をかけ最善のなる方へどうしたんだ期待なんてもうしてられないからその時をじっと待っていて曖昧しか光って再現のない方へコンタクトさえも防げないのなら混ざって混ざって生まれ変わるまで終わらない夢をその先の君は